Hi everybody, it's Crystal here for Talk to Me Tuesday. It hasn't been that long, I think, since my last video, maybe even less than a month. But here I am anyway. I've been, I don't know, very on fire getting a lot of things done lately, so I actually have so many things to show you. So first of all, I never talked about my goals for the year. I pretty much always have. I mean, I'm really loosey-goosey about goals, I think you guys know that about me. I often make them, I rarely follow through on them. I'm okay with that. I like to have like a general plan, even if I don't ever end up following it. But I usually do the All People Quilt UFO challenge, so I have my list for the year. Last year I did 0 projects from the list of 12. In fact, when I wrote out the list of all the things that I finished, I don't even think I hit 10 items for the whole year, which is pretty unusual. You know, it's just a year. Yeah, so this is my list for this year. I sort of changed my goal the last couple of years. I've been trying to choose projects that are almost finished, so the goal then is to just finish them. But I wondered if maybe, I sometimes like quilting, but it blocks your machine for a long time because I only have one machine. So once I have it set to quilt, I don't want to unset it for everything else. So then I either wind up doing all of one and none of the other, or vice versa. It's hard to finish things sometimes just because it does take a long time, or it takes a long time the way I do it. Maybe I should say it that way. I'm not very good at taking the easy way out when it comes to quilting my projects, I guess. Whatever. Anyway, cut all this short because I'm going to babble way too much. Rather than having the goal to finish everything this year, to have 12 projects that are this close from the end, I thought I would just pick randomly 12 projects that need working on and try to move them forward. So the January item was the trinket quilt along, which you can see on the design wall behind me. This was a quilt along hosted by Allison Glass. She's the pattern designer, I guess. I think. Anyway, she was the one that hosted it, and it was in 2019, which was the bad year in my family. So I started it, but I, per usual, bit off more than I could chew. Thought I would do 120 blocks instead of the 40. Is it 40? I forget how many blocks there were originally, but I made 3 of every block instead of just 1 of every block. So I had to make 120, and I got 75 done. And then in January, I did finish the remaining 45. I think that math checks out. Anyway, as you can see, most of it, quite a bit of it's pinned up on the wall here. There's still some here because there's not enough design wall behind me. I'm trying to, I don't really like rainbow settings for quilts. I know it's a very popular thing. It's just, and they're often beautiful, but I just don't really like them that much. The reason why I'm doing it in a rainbow, though, is I couldn't contemplate how to take 120 blocks and put them randomly into an arrangement so that I didn't get, you know, this, I don't know if you can actually see them, but there's like a paper airplane there, and there's a paper airplane up in the top. I don't know if I could have managed to keep them far enough apart while keeping the color assortment blended. I don't know. It just, somehow it seems so overwhelming, and I thought I would like to, even though I've already accomplished the January goal of just moving it forward, I would like to at least get the top put together this year. So I decided to take the easy way out. The only thing about it that's not the easy way is that I did split the rainbow so that the red comes kind of through the middle. So I started with a bundle of fabrics, which is this bundle of a kind of-ish rainbow. And essentially what I did was I just cut it kind of in the middle and then restacked it. So I'm starting from the darkest blue and then at the bottom kind of the greeny blues, I guess. It's a method that let me put my 2 kind of favorite color zones on either side of the quilt. I do like all the stuff in the middle. I mean, I think these are nice blocks. But, I don't know, yeah, it was just a way of rainbowing without rainbowing too hard, I guess. So it's going to be basically a checkerboard. So I do have all of the alternate blocks cut. So each one of these will be spaced by one of these. So I wanted to make it just slightly wider and slightly longer. So I actually bought a piece of trinket fabric. I think it's called trinket. It must be because it's totally the trinket pattern. Anyway, I don't know if you can see it, but all of these little pieces are exactly the blocks that are up on my wall. So I picked the blue because I thought it was the most versatile color, but I don't know if I like it. I a little bit wish I'd have picked the more greeny chartreusey colored background. But I tend to default to that chartreusey green, so I think in my head I was thinking this might be a little more, wouldn't take over quite as much as a chartreuse might. I guess we'll see what happens. Regardless, I'm using this, and if I look at it and think, I'm still going to use it. So my next project is actually something I did in December, but I never finished it. It took me until maybe the beginning of February to actually finish the hoop. The reason being I couldn't find a hoop the right size. And I like to finish my hoops in, you know, the fancy way by tying the back tight and then sewing on a felt backing. I don't know why I make things hard for myself. I could have just glued it down the way that many people do, and that also looks nice. But anyway, I really, really love this project. Everything about it, I think, is just kind of perfection. So the pattern is by a designer called Lolly and Grace, and she hosted this as a quilt along in, I'm gonna say, November and December of 2021. And I did buy the kit. I am trying to not buy kits because I often don't finish them. I did buy the kit because I kind of thought this one was just perfect as it is, and I didn't want to, these are like beads that sit on the surface. You start with these little wooden beads and you wrap them to make that. And I didn't want to have to source beads. I didn't want to have a whole bag of beads if I didn't, you know, if I didn't enjoy making them, which I didn't enjoy making them. I didn't want to have to buy a whole skein of yarn just to have this pretty pink yarn. I didn't want to have to try to find the right kind of bluey green teal. So I did buy the kit. And yeah, I'm very, very happy with it. I think it's fantastic. So next up is bee blocks. I think in January I had already sent off my bee blocks, so I wasn't able to show them to you, but this time I actually haven't sent them so that I would be able to show them to you. So the February recipient asked for hearts, pink hearts on a gray background. So this was the first one that I did. She said that you could use a bit of red and purple as well as pink, so I do have a little bit of other colors in here. So this is the first one that I did. It's a white print, but it has a gray overlay, and I thought it would be gray enough. But now I kind of think maybe it's too light, so I did make her a third block. So that was the first one that I made, and then this was the second one. It's definitely more gray, although a lot of these are actually gray on white, and I don't know why that's what my eye was drawn to. This is another one that's gray on white. This one's gray on white. Anyway, so I made her the third block just to make sure that if they're too white, then she still has usable blocks. So that's a lot of hearts. I'm not a particular fan of heart blocks. A couple weeks ago, I took a Zoom class with Liz Elliott. She's if you don't know who she is, she's a fabric designer and also a pattern designer. And she kind of works with generative pattern design. So somebody who's well known in the world of that sort of thing created a program for her that she can insert different types of quilt blocks, different shapes, different colors, different sizes, various different things, and then she lets the program generate new patterns. And then when she finds one that she likes, she will basically convert it either to fabric design or to a quilt pattern. And yeah, that's kind of the general gist of Liz Elliott. If you were to take any of her classes, she definitely goes a lot more in depth into how she does it. But anyway, she kind of created an analog version to teach this class called Embrace the Chaos. So in the Embrace the Chaos class, you make your own generative quilt design. So each participant will have a totally different quilt, regardless of, even if we all took the same fabric, you'd still get a different quilt, I guess is how I'm getting at it. So My particular pattern, the patterns as she has it for the class is essentially a 30 by 30 or a 40 by 40 quilt. So nothing terribly big, but this is the one that I did. I started from this purple fabric, which I will try to get close enough for you to see and hopefully it will focus. It's just this very unusual art gallery print that I had, kind of an abstract floral, I guess you might call it. Maybe, I don't know, filigree? I'm not sure. Anyway, I had maybe just under a yard of it, 3/4 of a yard, for quite a while, and I could never kind of figure out what to do with it. So I thought I was going to use it for this class, and then I pulled some of the colors out of it, which they use mainly green and pink, and a little bit of gray. So I took the greens and pinks from that, and then added the blue just to give it some more, I don't know, oomph, I guess. My kind of only personal rule was that each block would have at least some of the purple in it. So this is the quilt that I made. I actually started and finished an entire quilt in less than a year. I think that's, for me, pretty amazing. I decided to extend the size slightly because I had some off-cut bits. And so I added one extra row using literally just whatever I had that was the right size. And I ran out of purple, so this block right here, from here to here, actually has, no, from here to here, has no purple in it. But I guess that's okay. I mean, it's, you know, quilting isn't rocket science. You can kind of do whatever you like. And so I did. I'm quite happy with it. It's just a tiny little thing. I don't quite know what I'll do with it. That's the front. I quilted it just with diagonal lines every 4 inches, essentially. And I did a 1/4 inch on either side of the seam plus one down the middle because there isn't always actually a seam on that diagonal. So yeah, very simple. It went quite quick. I did the quilting over a weekend and then bound it over the next couple of days. So for the fabric for the binding, I went to look for a solid purple and I actually got distracted and chose what's I don't have nearby me, but it's kind of like an Art Deco print. In fact, I think the line maybe is called Art Deco. And it just has, it's like dark purple, and then it has these lines that converge into triangles. And it's almost exactly, I think it was 1 7/8 inch wide on the repeat. So that is how thick I cut my binding. I still did a double fold, so it's quite a narrow binding on both sides. And I really had to pull that sucker over to make sure it would fit. But I made it fit, and so then there's just these little lines repeating all the way around the binding. And then for the back, I used another art gallery print that I had. It really doesn't match the front all that well. Somewhat ironically, I really felt like it should match because it has kind of pinks and greens in it in the little butterfly. But they really don't match. It's just sort of shocking to me, but it's fine because how often do you look at the back and the front of a quilt at the same time? Practically never. I guess something I never talked about when I was talking about my goals is my February goal. And that's because I haven't started it. It's mid-flippin' month. I haven't even, it's in a pile over there, but it's been in a pile since it was on my list last year. I don't think it's going to happen this month, and that's fine. It's just a baby quilt that needs quilting, and I need to finish piecing the back first. So, easy enough. I have not had time to work on it because I have so many projects for other people that are just stacking up that need doing. My sister asked me to make her, she's doing these cross-stitch patterns, and she asked me to make her 3 cushions out of them. She's only finished stitching 2 of them, but when I knew she was getting near to the end of the second one, I thought, oh shit, I really better start the first one. And then on top of that, I have 2 other cross stitches of hers that have been sitting here for months waiting for me to finish. One of them as a cushion, one of them as a wall hanging. And then my dad, out of nowhere, asked me to make him a mini quilt because he just bought a new armchair and he wants a quilt of his own, but not to put on himself, just a little one. And I'm like, when does my dad ever ask for anything? Of course I'm gonna make it for him. But yeah, all these things are like stacking up and up and up. So yeah, I haven't been working on my own goals, but I did finish the first cushion for my sister, so I will show you that now. I started this weekend. It was a shockingly quick and easy project. I actually really like it. I think it turned out great. I don't think my sister's gonna like it, and this was the one she was gonna keep for herself. So these stitches she's making for friends of hers, and she wanted me to make them into cushions for the friends. And one of them is really into bears, so that friend will get the bear one, but the other one she couldn't decide if she wanted to give her the fox or the wolf. So she thought she'd keep the fox in the end for herself, just because the colors are more fall, and she wasn't sure, I think, if the friend would like it. But I don't think my sister's gonna like the fall colors. I mean, I don't think I could have picked anything different. I think it worked out exactly as it wanted it to work out, as the project wanted it to work out. I just don't foresee my sister liking it. But anyway, I basically just, because of the pattern in the cross stitch, I felt like it just needed like half square triangles to finish it. So that's all I did. I have the bear here. Bear is going to be kind of a similar idea. I'm using cross woven fabric, or shot cotton maybe. Maybe this is shot cotton. Maybe that's the same thing. I happen to have a fat 8 bundle that has had so far largely colors that have worked. I don't have a lot of colors that are going to work with the wolf though, so I might have to buy some more, which I didn't really want to do. I guess we'll see how it goes. Anyway, my God, I know I've spoken for like 20 minutes. Hopefully I'll be able to cut and pull it down a bit. I was going to show you one more thing, but like there's no fucking time. So yeah, that's it from me. I hope everybody is well and happy and getting in some crafting time. Bye guys.